Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here taking a look at one of the Grade 1 races on Whitney Saturday at Saratoga. The race right before the main event is the Grade 1 test. And Mike, this race every year plays second fiddle to no other graded stakes race because it seems like the test always comes up an intriguing race for handicappers and also for racing fans to appreciate, with some fillies that are stretching out in distance, some turning back, and we've got all those features in this year's test, including a lot of talent.
Yeah, I agree. The test has been it's been a great race for a long time. It seems to always come up with a really good field. This year's no exception. Listen, we are horse players. We like to complain a lot, David, and we complain a lot about the stakes program in New York sometimes. Nothing to complain about on Saturday. They put together a really, really strong card.
All of these Grade 1 races are not just interesting in terms of attracting star horses, they're really intriguing races to handicap, and this test is exemplary of that. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race, because, Mike, as you saw on the morning line, I pegged the number 6 Echo Sound as the 9-5 favorite, and she's the kind of horse that can be forward, but definitely doesn't need to be on the lead. She's really quick out of the gate, and basically Louis Size could have plenty of options to slot her in wherever he wants to, and they probably will be chasing the number 5, Me and Molly McGee, who is pretty quick.
Yeah, I thought Me and Molly McGee was fastest early in here. There are plenty of other horses that could, sort of be going forward, looking for position in here. But Me and Molly McGee seems like a speed. That's where she wants to be. I guess they'll come out running, and we'll see where everybody else sort of slots themselves. Echo Sound, I agree with you. I mean, they put her up close last time, but she came with a big run from off the pace to win her 3-year-old debut. Very, very versatile, and that's a feather in her cap.
Let's go through this field of 8 3-year-old fillies, beginning with the number 1 Ragtime, who is looking to extend her unbeaten streak to 3 in a row after making her second winning appearance in this allowance race that we're taking a look at here, where she was beating a field that's obviously weaker than the one that she's going to step up against when she tries Stakes Company on Saturday. But, Mike, she couldn't have been much more visually impressive in each of these two victories, both on debut, where she beat what looked like a loaded maiden race on Belmont Stakes weekend, and then this race where she just traveled strongly into the race every step of the way, went clear under minimal urging. I mean, she's a horse that when you watch her workouts in the morning really does not tip her hand that she possesses the kind of ability that she showed in the afternoon. But when they put those blinkers on and break her from the gate in the afternoon, she's known what to do. This is a big step up, but I think she's got talent.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think it's also at least worth pointing out that both of her wins so far over this track, they're both at 7 furlongs too. So that's really not something to be taken lightly, because some of these horses we may find out don't really want to go this far, but she does. She's been really, really good in both of her starts. We'll see. I mean, to me, she was maybe the toughest call in the race because I do have pretty high hopes for her. I think she's good. But she's also probably not going to be much price in here. And this is a way tougher field. I mean, I wanted to make cases for everybody drawn to her outside in this race.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how much pace develops for her in this race, because she does feel like one that will be just fine coming from off the pace. The number 2, Kilwin, is a horse that came from pretty far off the pace in a few of her turf races, but they finally put her on dirt last time, Mike, which makes some sense. She's a daughter of Twirling Candy, who can get runners that compete on any surface, and she ran the best race of her career, getting over this 7-furlong distance on the main track at Churchill Downs, winning the Leslie's Lady with a 96 buyer, which would make her very competitive in here. The runner-up in that race, when you look at her past performances, Mike, makes it a little tough to buy that 90-plus buyer for her. And Kilwin also achieving a number that was some 20 points higher than anything she had run before. So I kind of want to see her do it again, but if she repeats it, I suppose she is a player in this race.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that you brought up the figures, though, too, because I think it is something that you want to concern yourself with, how much you want to, take that 96 at face value. I would just say I don't care about the figure she was running on turf, and I didn't want to make comparisons between the two.
Sure.
I think first of all, I think she's a really good turf horse. I like all of her races. She hasn't exactly had the greatest trips in some of those races recently, but she's really good on that surface. I thought she handled dirt just fine. Had no issues with it. Sat on the outside, kept right up close. I thought she was much the best in there. I'm going to expect her to go off at a fair price in this race, and I think she can go with these horses. I'm going to use her.
The number 3, Look Forward, will be turning back in distance after earning a Grade 1 placing in the Acorn. We'll take a look at the replay of that race where she and everyone else was chasing home Lucara, who just splashed away from this field, leading every step of the way over a sloppy track. And Mike, we talked a little bit about this, how this might have been a sloppy track that carried speed a little bit, and maybe that helped Look Forward get the 9-furlong distance to the state, because I really don't think she's a horse that's actually cut out to go this far. And I do like her turning back to the 7 furlongs, the same distance over which she won the 8 bells. I just think this is a tougher spot than the 8 bells was.
Yeah, it probably is. That being said, she was awful good in the 8 bells. I mean, this is another horse where I think if you just look at figures, you may feel like she could be in too tough here. I don't care about the figures that she's been running. Her 8 bells, I thought, was a serious performance. That was not a slow pace. They put her right up on it. She put all the other speed horses away in there and went clear through the stretch. She's now 3 for 3 sprinting in her career. She's obviously not quite as good going longer. The last 2 times that she won sprinting the stakes races, turning back both times out of 2-turn races to 7 furlongs. They're doing that again here. She can be forward, but she doesn't need the lead. I thought there was tons to like about this horse.
My one slight problem with her, Mike, and maybe I'm harping too much on it, is her 2 really good efforts that make me like her were both over sealed racetracks. And I wonder if she appreciated that kind of going a little bit. It was a fast sealed racetrack at Churchill, but she is a horse with some turf on the bottom side. So I wonder if that moved her up a little bit. The number 4, Cash Call, is a horse shipping in from Southern California for trainer Bob Baffert. And maybe Bob hasn't had the success with these shippers that he has, going back 5 or 10 years or so. But this filly has looked good in her last few starts, and we'll take a look at her most recent stakes win in the Summertime Oaks, where they stretched her out around 2 turns for the first time. And she got the job done here, Mike, but kind of felt like she was just going up and down through the late stages and wasn't really putting this field away. It seemed like she was superior to this group on paper. She was 1-2, stepping up into stakes company for the first time. I actually liked her race 2 back, going 6 furlongs much more, because she really extended her stride to run away from that group, going the 6 furlong distance. She's just another one, kind of like Ragtime that we talked about on the rail, stepping up against way tougher here.
Yeah, exactly. I think it sounds like just from hearing you talk about her that we look at her kind of the same way. I mean, she really has one race that I like, and that's that race 2 starts back.
Yep.
So, listen, maybe turning back in distance will really work for her here, and she can be really competitive. I think you kind of made my job with this horse a lot easier. You made her 5-1 on the morning line. It's not a price I would take.
They seem to bet these Baffert horses. We'll see if they go to this one too. The number 5, Me and Molly McGee, has done little wrong so far in her career. I mean, she got caught on debut at Keeneland, but ran very well in defeat that day. And since then, she's earned 2 victories, going the 6 furlong distance at Churchill Downs in very fast time. Her maiden win 2 back at Churchill was visually impressive. I know she only got a 79 buyer for that race, Mike. That's a race when you look at DRF Formulator at the chart. Multiple horses have come back and not just run a little faster, like 20 and 30 points faster. So that might be a race you want to upgrade when you're looking at her past performances. I think she's going to be in front. I wonder if she's going to get the 7 furlongs.
Yeah, I wonder about it too, especially, facing a field like this one, where it just feels like this is a really, really tough edition of this race. I really liked her win 2 back. She was good last time, but I don't think good enough to make me like her against this field. I really respect her, though. She's got good speed. I think she's talented.
Number 6, Echo Town, she's simply the horse to beat in this race. And Mike, we talked about her ahead of the victory ride, how she wasn't a horse that had yet run a fast speed figure. But if you go back and watch her replays, it was apparent that she had a little more ability than maybe the figs would indicate. And she finally got that fast fig in this race that we'll take a look at, the victory ride, where she was forward from the start, pressing the pace. And as soon as Louis Sias pushed the button at the top of the stretch, she put this field away and really opened up on it at the end. And if you're questioning this 101 buyer, just look at the margins between horses at the wire. I mean, she put nearly 5 lengths on Beauty Reigns, and there was another nearly 5 lengths back to the 3rd place finisher, Indy Bay, who is a 90 buyer stakes winner in her own right. So Echo Sound was dominant victory here. And Mike, doesn't feel like 7 furlongs is supposed to be a problem for her.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. I mean, she's just really good. I like, again, as we talked about before, the victory ride, even though she hadn't run fast yet, I mean, every one of her starts leading up that was good. She finally got the breakthrough figure last time, David. So now she's exposed, and she'll be a short price again here in a tougher race. And so that just sort of led me searching around maybe for some alternatives, because there were plenty of alternatives, but make no mistake about it, she's the horse to beat.
The number 7, Artisma, is probably the toughest one to make a case for in this competitive field, because she's really topped out at an 82 buyer so far, and she's been beaten by a couple of horses that she's facing here, Look Forward and Me and Molly McGee. And yeah, she wasn't beaten that far by either one of them, Mike, but even when you go back to watch that Santa Inez going this distance, it's kind of hard to believe that she didn't beat Look Forward that day, because it seemed like she had dead aim on her and then just hug at the end.
It seemed like Look Forward wasn't really finishing that strongly that day either. Yeah. And Artisma couldn't run her down. The flip side of that, and I do want to at least make some kind of a case for her, if only because she's so lightly raced, David, that I didn't want to just totally dismiss her. I remember seeing her debut, and I just felt like she ran a really good race that day
Mhm.
for a first time starter. And so it just made me follow her. I went right into the San Ynez and bet her actually against Look Forward. And I thought she ran fine in that race. She missed time after that. She was off the layoff last time, where with me and Miley McGee, we already talked about a really fast horse, just sort of breathing down her neck the entire way. She got a little tired at the end, but that was her first start in about 6 months. Now she has a race under her belt. Very confident placing here from Baltus. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and suggest I'm going to bet a ton of money on her, but I'm using this horse somewhere. I think she's good.
You just made a decent case for the one horse I feel like I could dismiss, and this is that kind of race where you can make cases for just about everybody, including the number 8 Beauty Reigns, who was second to Echo Sound in the Victory Ride replay that we just took a look at. And yeah, she was beaten a long way that day, Mike, but maybe if the pace heats up a little bit here and Echo Sound finds herself a little bit too close to it and they just take back Beauty Reigns and try to make one run, maybe that's a better style for her because she's been, relatively close to some slower paces in small fields recently. And I do think that the 7 furlong distance is going to be just fine for her.
Yeah, me too. I think there is a way to look at her and think that things could break a little bit differently for her here, and she can at least make it closer with Echo Sound, even if she doesn't wind up beating that horse. I mean, I don't love her in here, David, but I'll tell you what, as a horse, going into the race where I just felt like I could make a case for everybody to her inside, I thought I was going to really dislike her in here. I don't. She can win this race.
Let's go to picks for this highly competitive edition of the Grade 1 test. And Mike, we're going to land in different spots here. Maybe I'm just taking the bait with the number 1 Ragtime because her 2 wins have been so visually impressive. I do think she's got further upside coming in here. We'll see what kind of price she is. 4-1 on the morning line that I set her at. That'd be fair for me, given the trip that I think she's going to get. But I wouldn't want to go too much lower than that. I'm just intrigued by her. But I think we both agree Echo Sound is the horse to beat.
Yeah, definitely. I was looking for somebody else to put on top just from a wagering perspective in here. Because I do think that this is an interesting enough race to take a shot with somebody else in here. Sort of along those lines, though, I mean, the price at post time for all these horses, that's going to be really important here. We'll see how they wind up betting the race. I'm going to stick with Look Forward. I think turning back is the right thing to do for her. And I think she can get the right trip in this race. We'll just see what kind of price she goes off at.
1685 for me and 3627 for Mike in the Grade 1 test, race 10 on a Whitney Saturday at Saratoga. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.